Here we go. We're on.
Hello.
Hello.
Luke.
Hello.
Luke.
Bonsoir.
Watch me when I
Context.
Full-
Always important.
For people watching, there was a
yawn. But
conversation off
never
stream.
necessary.
Engaging all orifices. Orifices.
Orifice eye?
Does it happen when you talk? Okay, put a quick context for the audience. Luke's nose moves when he yawns. Do really exaggerated talking, Luke. Oh, okay, here we go. Yep, nose is open.
Oh, Jesus.
That's a triple yawn right there.
Here we go.
It's like a cannon.
Yes. If I fell out of a plane, I wouldn't need a parachute. I'd just glide down with these babies.
If you close one nostril, you just spin off to the left. Like, full control.
Left thrusters. Engaged.
That's hilarious.
I can smell everything though. It's fantastic.
Yeah, welcome to the Luke Yawn Show.
Also
we're
known
back.
as Writey Tonightey.
Writey Tonightey, yeah. We are back for another one. Very sporadic sort of schedule, but like we just do these when we want to because these are pretty much more for us than. But it certainly is.
It's the nature of building a good online presence is
Yeah.
inconsistency. That's what people love. That
Yawn
people they don't want to know what's going on. They don't want to know when it is. They don't want to know what's going to happen when they watch it. That's what they want.
We've given all like I was like watching the old episodes, and the old episodes we like do like a real effort at the start of them. We were like, "Hi guys, welcome," blah blah blah, and now we just start off with Luke yawning and stuff. Just like all pretense is gone.
levels.
Whatever, let's just churn through it. Yeah.
I love that we've reached the not caring stage without earning that in any way.
Yeah. Screw you guys. Yeah.
Yeah, just resting on our laurels at this
It's
point.
true. It's true.
Yeah.
No to my dressing gown.
I've already got to kick back and just churning out like all the album after album shot.
That one guy we got once has gone to our head, guys.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, welcome to Writey Tonightey. We are the Or Something team. We do But Suddenly, and we do this, and we do a random assortment of other things, but mostly we write things. That's what we tend to do. Started off in this context. Why am I giving this so much context?
I don't know.
Yeah, we started off
here for
in lockdown, and here we are. This is our writing club, as it was over lockdown, except we just decided not to film it then, and now we.
You just pause you there. What? I mean, like we've said this in like every video.
I know, but like you never know when
just-
someone is a new viewer. You don't
Yeah,
expect them to go to episode 1 to get the context. So shove it up your butthole, bud.
I will.
You yawning at all? Or?
Yeah. Maybe all of them yawn. I don't know. We'll have to check.
The yawning butthole. Yeah.
Sounds
so
like a great band name.
we've tended Writey Tonight has tended to sort of like sway towards the prompt, which I think we're quite big fans of because it kind of pushes us to write something. But this one has proven to be quite a difficult one for most of us, I imagine. How did you guys find it? Those of you
Really difficult.
Difficult.
Really difficult.
Yeah. Yeah. Tricksy.
It was.
Tricksy.
Particularly the fact that I've not produced anything.
Yeah. You'd think it would be easy though, because it's like the vaguest prompt we've got. But I think the vagueness of it, like, and it kind of made it harder because, like, literally, you can make any story as long as it's set on a Saturday because the prompt is Saturday. But yeah, I found it hard as well. I have to say, it was a difficult one this time.
I think it's the broadness, which is the difficult part. I think if you've got something specific, not to go back to Fishbone, but if you have something like Fishbone, then you.
Yes, you knocked that out the park.
This is our third prompt, isn't it? So the first one was Iolo's idea of like the
time loop.
time traveling back to your
that was our
own.
idea.
The shared idea of time traveling
Yes.
back to your own
Yeah.
body or whatever. And then Fishbone, which was kind of specific but also vague in its own way. But there's only so many.
Was it vague? But I don't know.
You say vague? I say gives you a clear direction.
I think it's like the obscurity of it as well is that like you kind of had to like find context for this obscure thing where Saturday is just the normal thing. So you're just like, what can I do that's interesting on a Saturday? I'll be honest. I went through like you lucked out because my other ones were like much more pages. But like I went through like 3 different iterations of things to do for this one. I tried to sort of like force through an idea I had for a separate thing and just set it on Saturday, and then I wrote it, and I thought like, this is like a decent thing that I want to do, but like it just kind of doesn't feel right for the prompt. So then I tried to write something specific to the prompt, and I just ended up hating that. And then I like was like so frustrated one day that I had like this really like rough idea for like something funny, and I just went, oh screw it, I'll just do that. And I just did 5 pages of that in the end. I just sort of kind of just like relented with it to a certain extent. Yeah, I wouldn't say it was like my magnum opus or anything, but it's all right. It's a manageable thing. It's something that we can read at the very least.
Yeah, mine's really, really stupid, and it was just the only thing I could think of to do with the prompt. I think like the fact that it's so broad is kind of, yeah, it's a blessing and a curse, isn't it? Because it could be a really good thing if you know I had any good ideas, but instead I produced what we'll read in a bit.
Yeah, I was trying to be like as pure to the prompt as possible. I took you through my process because I'm not actually got anything to present, so I might as well just sort of rattle off my where I've got to where I am now. But I was sort of, first thing I thought of was like Saturday's end of the week. It's something you're leading up towards, so I kind of wanted to have it as like, as opposed to something you're looking forward to, it's something you were dreading. But that's about as far as I got with idea 1. The second idea was to do like a Saturday sketch show, just write a couple of sketches and perform them, but it really came. And then the third idea I had, which was what I kind of settled on but didn't develop, was like a comedy drama set on a Saturday night quiz show. So it'd be like a quiz show format, but scripted, like an actual drama. And then just various characters. So
that's cool.
A train wreck host. You'd have the cast would be the same with like the host, the producers, like the showrunners and stuff. And then you'd have a rotating cast of contestants. So each episode would be an episode of the quiz. And the format I had in mind was a bit like a sort of what's it called? The wipeout, like a wipeout type thing. But when you get to the end of a stage, you've got to answer a question and kind of give it that easy visual flair. And but then it cuts behind the scenes and the host would be pissed or something, or the producer on the phone irate about something. But yeah, when I actually sat down to try and put something on the page, I was thinking about some sort of cold open or to write some scripts. Just nothing really came because I knew it wasn't going to be something I was going to develop further.
What has happened? Oh, Luke's back.
It's Luke back.
You swapped around, but everything's okay.
I'm up here now.
Too busy playing games.
No, I knocked my camera and it decided to shut lots of things down.
I like that idea though, Phil. I quite like the idea.
Yeah,
that's
like
cool.
I quite liked it initially, and it's just when I sat down to like, I got on to fade in and stuff and tried, nothing came on page, like in terms of, because I knew it wasn't something I wanted to write a 30-page script for, because it was something, so I don't know, like the initial cogs were turning, but yeah, I never kind of.
It's a difficult one, because do you remember that dumb thing I wrote like really briefly called Kashuffle?
Yeah,
I remember finding
that in mind a little bit.
Yeah, I remember thinking that was really difficult, because like your script isn't like X person walks down the street. It's stage direction to a certain degree, and you have to like explain this really like exaggerated stage, and it's really difficult to like
that's exactly what I was struggling with. Because it's like, so what's the, so I've literally put interiors, like what is it, a studio, is it a kind of, what's the initial shot going to be? It's like and then just so I think, so it was an interesting one, but kind of never developed beyond that point. No.
I like it though. I mean, I think you should. I think maybe you should like give it a go.
I'll have a crack at it just to get something on the page, but just don't see it sort of being something I'd carry on with.
I quite like the quiz show concept. I'll be honest with you with like my one idea for this, but suddenly, which I've not done, but I was going to make like the next week's But Suddenly episode a quiz show where like I would actually get you to answer questions and like not script the questions. I would literally like ask you really obscure questions about previous But Suddenly to test your knowledge, and like the entire conceit would be that whoever lost, their character would be like permanently dead. Like, so that was like literally my idea. But I thought it'd be so frustrating. It would be so hard to keep track of it, because there'd be an element of improv needed, because you'd have to like keep tabs of who scored what point, if you know what I mean. So it'd be like, it'd be so difficult. So I was like, fuck that. I went the easy route. just wrote a bullshit that I normally do. But
have you finished?
Yeah.
Just on a side note. But...
Yeah.
It's finished by Friday morning, hadn't you?
I finished it Tuesday. I really enjoyed writing this one. I'm not sure how it'll convey on the page, but I thought it was fucking hilarious. So like, that's the silver lining. Is while I was writing it, I thought it was funny.
You had a great
It's
time.
probably gonna fall flat on its face. Yeah, I had a great time writing it though.
Follow all the but suddenly links down below on YouTube.
Yeah, might be in a box up there, or up there, or down there.
100% should be. Watch them. They're so good. They are good. I've been running my way through them, and like they're so good. Some of the early ones are really good. My one this time is kind of like a love letter to the old ones, but this is not. But suddenly, I'll shut myself mouth up.
Preview for next week's show.
But yeah, I was like,
thank you for helping fill my segment.
Funnily, what you said is it was exactly what mine was, and like I think you said your second idea was just like a night out on Saturday. That's essentially what my first idea was, because I had this idea, but it was like really hard to convey it like through a regular script. My idea is to make a show called Best in Sesh, and the entire idea is that like it's kind of like I'm not sure if you guys saw Drunk History. Did you ever see Drunk History? It's like a TV, it's like a TV show that like encapsulates a moment from history, but a drunk guy is telling the story in the background. I wanted to sort of like do that, but like with people's night out stories, like really good night out stories, like drunk stories where people get like really, really drunk and like do something stupid and stuff. So I tried to do that. I wrote a big section of it of like these guys like going on a night out and getting drunk and like getting up to all sorts of like bullshit. But then I just like, it's early days, isn't it? So you don't quite know how you're meant to like cover the prompt. And I just thought it felt a bit like, this is clearly not a Saturday idea. This is clearly like an idea I had separately, and I just sort of like tried to shoehorn it in. So I just abandoned ship on that one.
There's enough Saturday in there, to be fair, because it's like Saturday night's the night people go out, isn't it? It's kind of
but there's also that element where I was just like, it just wasn't working to a certain degree either. It's like it would be better as a pitch. I was going to just pitch that, and that was going to be my thing. I was literally just going to have like a page of like that as a pitch. But I just thought, screw it, I'll make like a little sketch, because I had the same idea as you as well, Phil. I was going to make a sketch thing as well. I was going to make like a sketch show, like where everything is based on a Saturday, but I just abandoned ship on that as well. Just went with what I've got right now, which is trash.
Do you know what I danced with? Let me explain myself before you correct me, because there's a glaring correction to make. So I thought, I'll do. Remember that riddle? That person came into a town on Saturday and stayed for 3 days and then left on Saturday. Yeah. But then as I started to put pen to paper, it was like, oh, it's Friday.
Different prompt.
I defeated myself. I could have done it to Saturday, but then we'd lose out one viewer. They'd be so frustrated and infuriated that I had changed the canon of the story.
Oh no! But then I had this. My second idea I had, which I quite liked, but it was really difficult. In the same vein as your quiz show, Phil, is I had an idea of like making like a Saturday night. Like a what's it called, like Live and Kicking, sort of like Saturday morning TV show with enthusiastic hosts, and I was going to have it be called Saturday Science, and I was going to have them be covering snot, like it's a typical like 90s this is cool to cover, like this is like the science behind snot, and like they do like an art attack type thing where they try and make slime, and then the slime comes to life in front of them, and that was like as far as I got. And I wrote it, and I fell into the same trappings that you kind of did, Phil, where I was like, I have to like, because the idea I had was Art Attack, so they'd have giant like Bunsen burners and pencils in the background, just like they did in Art Attack, but explaining that on a script makes you look like an utter lunatic. Like the plot makes me look like an utter lunatic. But like going, there's a giant Bunsen burner in the background, and like they all work on a giant, like they did in Art Attack, where they had giant pencils.
That's
like
just
in
to
the
clarify, that's the bit that makes you a lunatic, not the snot.
Not the living slime. No, living slime is perfectly normal. I just wanted them to come to life and like, but I couldn't even encapsulate that. I wanted to be like, hello, where am I? And like this slime was all of a sudden like come to life and they struggle. But I just like, that's as far as I got. And I was like, oh,
Flubber.
I can't be. It was essentially Flubber.
Turned into Flubber.
Turned to Flubber, yeah. And I just was like, oh, mate, this is. And I got really frustrated. I'll be honest, I was like really frustrated with myself because I was like, oh, you can get an idea, y'all. Come on, just write something down on paper.
You're the ideas guy. Come on.
Yeah, come on, man.
What you do?
And then I just did this, and you'll be like, you guys all will read mine and go, yeah, maybe you should have gone for the other ones. You'll be like vying for fucking living slime.
So about the Saturday morning TV idea.
I still have it. Wait, I was going to open it really quickly, just like because I remember the names. I remember like opening it up the script and going, I fucking hate these fucking names. Oh no, I don't even have it here. I've got it at work, which shows where I do most of my script writing. No, I don't even have it here. But I had like ludicrous names for them, and as soon as I opened them up and saw those two names, I remember closing it once and going, "Fuck that."
So before we get into the work to present, how did the Adams find the Saturday prompt? I suppose, Mr. Bunn, it was your idea, wasn't it? Was it just a general pick a word out of the air, or was there a kind of word association that you came up with for it? Or was
I can't even remember. It was just so long ago now, isn't it, that we're talking about? So, from memory, I think we were just literally talking on WhatsApp, trying to come up with a prompt. And I might have been looking at a calendar because I was probably sat at my desk at work or something. Yeah, literally, I think it was as complex as that. So no, there's nothing that went into it beyond just kind of like think of a word, and then I saw the word Saturday. I think.
I don't think we gave Burge as much scrutiny for Fishbone either. So.
No,
just kind of accepted it.
Yeah. You know what really made me laugh about that WhatsApp conversation is that like it descended into just gifs of Elton John singing Saturday, and then Phil after that asked what the prompt was. I was like, "What did you think we were posting gifs of Elton John?"
What was going on?
I saw Adam suggested Saturday, and then the next thing that happened in my mind was Bird just putting random Elton John things like that. That's fair enough. That's half the course of the group. And then about 2 days later, I was like, so did we decide what prompt we're going with, guys?
I think the message that you wrote was underneath the gif of Saturday. So like Elton John was doing, hey, Saturday, and literally like, what was the prompt again, guys?
Any more clues?
Burge is happy.
And I think you realised, you did a wheel for it, didn't you? Which
I did do a wheel for it, yeah.
You always stream the wheel.
You should, assume that I have made a spinner is your safest bet.
just look for the spinner next time.
Yeah. I think like there was one point we discussed about a spinner to spin for what we would spinner for later on.
Spinception.
And you guys like, there's going to be like a spinner intervention before the end of it. Like, Iolo, you thought this was Writey Tonightey, but we want you to sit down.
Spin-tervention.
Luke, you can tap out now. That'll do for you, but thank
you.
My contributions have been.
Just one of them.
What about you, Birch? How would Oh wait, neither of you spoke. Iolo was still speaking.
Sorry, jeez. Enthusiastic. This is high energy, Iolo.
Flowing.
It took me a while to come up with any kind of idea, and then I just focused on the word Saturday itself. You'll see what I mean by that. I think what I've done. I think your response will be, oh right, yeah, it's weird. like it's not funny.
It's a safe play, Birch.
You'll just be like, that's just a bit weird, mate. Actually, but yeah, I think that's the response.
Perfectly acceptable.
Yeah, I did. Yeah, I got 2 pages in the end.
Did you find it a helpful writing exercise, like just to try and?
Yeah, definitely. It's I really like the prompt because it's even because I think I wrote it on the Wednesday when we were going to do it.
Yeah.
Last Thursday.
And Adam was ready, wasn't he?
And I got it done that day. So it was good to like, to know that you can push yourself to write it in a short space of time. But yeah, I mean, should we
Yeah.
Get into
on
them.
that note quickly,
100%.
I find like deadlines are so helpful, aren't they? It's like same with But Suddenly, because this has been quite vague. It's kind of like something we're going to do at some point. I know you said there was a deadline last Thursday, but suddenly I find it so easy having that focus of you got 2 weeks or 3 weeks to get something down.
Yeah, definitely.
100%.
Yeah, should we get into the work?
100%. Who wants to go first?
Yeah, let's get mine out of the way first. It's
Okay. I'm pretty sure yours is the one that's up straight away anyway, so that's pretty
okay.
good.
Already, you can see it's really weird. Call it Fronk Day, Tullington, Giggleswhip. Call it the day of gradual decline, the day of the great shamanth, the day of butterfly kisses. Call it yellow hanging fruit, little boppo, jumping jarred acts. Call it the day of many names or whatever the hell you want. I'll always just call it Saturday. So basically, I came up with that, and then I was like, right, I need to write. This is all I've got. And then just kept writing nonsense. The names crept in after the world went blue. At first, we all just assumed it was a joke. Their first edict as our new overlords was to change the name Saturday to Bellowing Frog's Nozzle. I mean, come on. We just laughed. To be fair, we were probably still in shock. The war had been lost within 30 seconds. Life as we knew it completely changed in under a minute. At 1410, we thought we were alone in the universe. By 1411, not only did we know that not to be true, we also knew that we had as much clout in the universe as a chihuahua wearing a bow tie. So, yes, laughter was probably all we were capable of when they made us refer to Saturday as Bellowing Frog's Nozzle. Believe me when I tell you that the novelty wore off pretty quickly. It all just felt a bit wrong. It was like someone coming round to your house and giving you a different name. In the main, we don't invent our own names. We are given them. Yet through repetition over years, we feel ownership over them. It was the same with Saturday. Why should we call it something different? That's what it's always been called. Well, people rebelled, refused to call it Bellowing Frog's Nozzle. It's not like they'd arrived with guns or even killed anyone. They'd won the war by disappearing all our weaponry with the click of their fingers. So what was the worst they could do? People found this out the hard way. Anyone caught referring to the 6th day of the week as Saturday was punished, not with torture or capital punishment, but with an extreme infringement on personal space. The Blue sent someone to follow you everywhere. They placed their face alongside your face and kept it there until you relented. It was no use running away or hiding, as the Blue had a fluid relationship with matter. They passed through toilet cubicle doors, car windows, houses, offices, sheds, and followed you into the shower, and all the while their face was pressed up against your own. If the person rebelling was particularly stubborn, the Blue would also emit a constant hum with a pitch designed to cause bowel movements. People soon fell into line. The weirdest part was that they didn't really do anything else. Their colossal ship, hovering in orbit, rotated along with our planet, so it never blocked the sun's rays. They punished people not following their rules, but their rules solely pertained to the 6th day of the week. It was odd. The lack of weaponry meant no more wars between rival states. There seemed little point. In fact, you could say that the world went blue and brought peace with it. But I'd say it brought apathy. Of course, the end of war was something to be celebrated. It's just that no one did. You could see it in people's eyes. The light went out of them. It felt like someone inviting you to do something you're quite good at, and then utterly thrashing you. For some people, that would probably ignite a burning flame of desire to improve. But I always felt like there was no point. I'd never be that good, so why bother? This is what happened to most people. They continued their daily lives much as before, but a cloud hung over them, and they had to refer to Saturday as Bellowing Frog's Nozzle. World leaders tried to entreat with the Blue. The Security Council of the United Nations was scrapped and equal weight given to every country, meaning that the unanimous joint resolution was completely historic. Had this happened before the world went blue, people might have sat up and listened, but as it was, it seemed to generate little interest. The Blue didn't respond. They didn't need to. The leaders of the countries had all been content to let the world fall apart before the Blue arrived, so the Blue probably didn't recognise their authority. In fact, the day after the UN released a statement about the joint resolution, the Blue released a statement of their own. Bellowing Frog's Nozzle was now to be called Kringus, and in fact, it had always been called Kringus. The UN dissolved the following day, mostly out of shame, one has to assume. Governments across the world disbanded, and Kringus became Thartwell. People stopped turning up for work, and Thartwell became Nether Bockaday. Nature began to reclaim the planet, and the bees came back. All the while, Nether Bockaday became Philipop. Philipop became Scrunchington, and Scrunchington became Yester. It was ludicrous, but no one knew what to do. Of course, you had the usual cults who offered themselves up as disciples of the Blue, claiming that we would all ascend if we accepted them as God, but they were wholly ignored by everyone, including the Blue. Then, in a moment of madness, the USA and Russia both worked on building nukes. It was all they had, bless them. This didn't work either. As soon as they were finished, the Blue clicked their fingers and the nukes vanished. After that, no one rebelled again. None of us were particularly happy with the arrangement, but it seemed pointless to try and do anything else about it. The best thing we can do is keep living and hope they bugger off at some point. Oh, and keep calling Saturday, Saturday.
Very good.
It's beautiful.
Very well written, buddy. That was awesome.
Just weird. Just weird.
No, like
Awesome.
it's like a really, it's not a really cool idea, isn't it? Actually, it's like
Yeah.
I
like
really enjoyed all the words that you concocted. I loved them.
Yeah,
Frogs.
they were ace. That was absolutely ace. That was well up my street, that.
Excuse
I
to
would have
make weird,
accepted.
stupid words.
You could have just had a list of those words for Saturday, and I'd have been like, "Yay! Yes, I love it." Bip, bop.
You were literally smiling almost the whole way through
Mate,
it.
I love that. I love a good Burge prose. I love that. That was cool, mate. That was very, very good.
So any sort of prior inspiration before we did this? It was literally just spur of the moment for this.
Like I was kind of like, what can I do? And then I wrote that first like paragraph, and I was like, well, I've got that. That's all I've got. So
when you read that, I was originally thinking like, oh, it's gonna be like the origins of how they decided to call it Saturday, and then like the way you went with the Blue, and the fact that like I really liked the slow burn on the Blue. Is that like you talk about like the names crept in after the world went blue, but you don't really like talk to, you don't point out that they're aliens until later on, where like you talk about them being the Blue and stuff. I thought it was like a really cool way of like steadily exploring this weird thing that's happened to the world through like
and just poking at what would actually happen in the instance of like that kind of invasion. And
the fact that the world's objectively better, except for this one little thing, but that one little thing would be very annoying. I don't think a lot of people would be absolutely up in arms about that one thing, despite everything else. Yeah, it's good.
And like every turn, I thought you were going to go one way, where like, oh, the Blue were going to have other rules except for the Saturday thing. No, you took the other way of going like, no, that was their only rule. That was it. That's all you had to do. And like people were just like, oh man, I want to call it Saturday. That was ace. I really enjoyed that.
An example of the pitch designed to cause bowel movements.
What do they call it on South Park? The brown note.
Brown note, yeah.
Brown note, yeah.
I thought that and the like personal space thing, that would be like, I was just trying to think of like what I'd absolutely hate. Just like someone was just there.
Yeah. It's very like Douglas Adams. I really quite liked it. It was like kind of like just like that sort of like irreverent, sort of like quite funny. I liked it, mate. It was really fun. I really enjoyed that. As with everything that you write,
the story for us, we get more.
Please.
More the history of the Blue.
That's literally what I was going to ask. these like the hope is, this is going to be cool though, yeah, is the hope is that you make enough of these, you'll have like a folder on your drive that is just full of like really cool, super short stories. And I don't see why you couldn't release that. Adam Jacob Burgess's short stories. They're all brilliant.
Yeah, short story collection.
Everyone's like, what the fuck is the Blue? And why are we reading it?
Doesn't matter. Irrelevant.
Yeah, I'd love like a book. The book is literally just like there's a book. And
the back of the book could literally say like, "Don't worry about
it." Don't think too hard about it. But then like, you would open the book and like the page would just be like in the middle of the page would just be Saturday, and then you would turn it and then that would be there, and then the next page literally would be like Fishbone, and you turn it and that would be there. It'd be cool. I'd read the fuck out of that, mate. It's pretty cracking idea that.
You should call it your Adam mythology.
Luke, you were
Don't
meant
try
to have
and
tapped out
recreate the
earlier.
heights. You peaked. You established you peaked. Stop.
Don't overstep, buddy.
Spintervention was my crown and glory.
So, like, without seeing it, without looking at the document, does anyone remember a term for Saturday that you used?
But Yester was my favourite.
Fartwell.
Trogswoggle.
Pretty good to remember, yeah. I remember, like, Yester as well. And, like, I quite like Boppy or Bippy. There was one, like, that was like a Bloppy later on that I quite liked as well. Boppo, yeah. That's it. Boppo. I quite like Boppo.
Those need to be our code names whenever we do anything together as a group. Laser tag and Boppo.
It'd be like, spies when they, like, pass over, like, the suitcase. It'd be like, it's a lovely Boppo today. And you pass over the thing. Yes, have a great clean slam. And they pick up the suitcase and walk off. But,
should we move on to one of the other ones?
100%. Adam, Ben, you happy to go?
I am happy to go.
Yeah.
I've gone for pros this time.
Excellent.
I'm all right.
Cool.
You did this a little while ago. You were quite well.
I wrote this. Yeah, this was.
Yeah.
I think like literally the week after we came up with it, because it was when I was in Wales. I was writing it.
Yeah.
Cool.
When was that? End of. I don't know when that was.
Yeah, mid to late August.
End of August.
Yeah, end of August. Yeah.
Wow.
A month ago. Yeah.
So it's I've not actually read it since either, so it's just be quite interesting.
How many pages have you got through?
Not many. It's only short. 2.
Cool.
11 pages by the look of it.
So yeah, it's very different. So we'll see how that flies.
Let's do it. That's the point, though, isn't it? It could be anything.
It is. So so wrote in prose because I thought I would do something different. I think Burge had sort of broke the mold on the first time we'd done this and brought some prose, and it was kind of a revelation type thing to all of us. I think because we can do actual writing, cool. And then so I've decided to give it a whirl. I can't remember the last time I actually wrote any prose. Probably like high school. I don't know. So yeah, we'll see. Saturday. Every time the same. The 1:20 bus from the corner shop. There were, of course, buses half an hour either side of this one, which would have got them to the match in plenty of time. But Jake's dad had always insisted on this one. Just enough time for a pint in the Farmers, his dad had always said, whenever Jake had asked why. Don't want to be hanging around for ages like a couple of bloody tourists, do we? Came the reply, if anyone ever suggested the earlier bus. 30 years they've been coming to the Saturday home games together, ever since Jake was a boy. Just the 3 p.m. matches, mind. His dad couldn't be doing any of these newfangled early or later kickoff times, or heaven forbid a Sunday game. Jake had scarcely forgotten the one and only time he dared suggest to his dad that they attend a cup game on a midweek evening. Bus times will be all over the shop, his dad had said. Jake didn't even bother suggesting they take the kids' car instead. He was in his 20s at this point after all. He could already hear the objections around parking being a nightmare and how we have a pint at the Farmers. It wasn't worth the conversation. So the bus it was. Jake stands at the bus stop at 1:15, 2 packets of crisps in hand. Every time the same. Ready salted for his dad, salt and vinegar for him. He'd been 31 before his dad had finally relented and let him buy the crisps they always ate on the bus. It felt like some silently momentous passing of the baton when Jake handed over the cash at the till that first time. Since then, it had morphed into the norm for their trip, complete without discussion, of course. His dad now waited outside while Jake nipped into the shop for their travel snacks. The other matchgoers at the bus stop nod at Jake as their eyes meet. Some smile warmly in the cold afternoon air, breath billowing above. These familiar strangers were part and parcel of the trip, with some faces as ever-present and reliable as the bus timetable. Jake and his dad had watched families expand and grow, and sometimes shrink, over the years. Children had grown up in fortnightly snapshots alongside Jake, the bouncy excitement of childhood bonds eventually giving way to everything being shared in a cursory nod or a gratuitous, all right, if either party was feeling particularly buoyant. 1:20 comes and goes, 25 past as well. This was practically unheard of. Murmuring spread amongst the growing blue-scarfed crowd in the delay. Barriers were broken down as the situation grew ever more troubling. What could have happened, they wondered aloud in turn. Few could remember something like this happening in all their years. Stories were shared of the great bush strike of '86 when swathes of fans had collectively walked the 7 miles to the ground, braving everything from torrential downpours to 3-foot snowdrifts, depending on who you listened to. Jake's dad had his own tale from that day, of course. He didn't go. That had been the day Jake was born. The single Saturday home match his dad had missed in 50 years. The bus eventually pulls up at 1:30. Jake smiles as he takes his place in the queue to board. "Day return, please," Jake says, placing a £5 note down on the metallic tray. "Sure thing," the driver replies, hesitating slightly as he looks behind Jake. More unnamed faces nod as he makes his way to the usual window seat halfway down the bus. "Never upstairs. Got stairs at home." Jake rotates the 50p he received in change around in his hand, tracing the flat edges with his thumb. His dad could scarcely believe the price of the bus journey these days. "Bloody daylight robbery," he'd exclaim each time they sat down. And there'd be a particularly lengthy passage about riding the bus all day and getting a fish supper with change left over from 10p, if the fare dared rise since the last time. Jake opens his crisps and tucks in, the vinegar flavour creating the familiar tingling on his cold lips. The bus rumbles on. Blue-clad throngs join at each stop en route to the ground. Then, same as every other time, a man jumps on at the stop near the supermarket, his blue cap almost covered in tiny, glittering pin badges. "So much energy, this fella," Jake's dad always says. The man does his usual round of any familiar and some not so familiar faces as he approaches the stairs. "All right, pal," to one. "Fancy our chances today," to another. He spies Jake as he climbs the first step. "All right, Jakey lad, how's your dad?" Jake smiles. He has no idea how this man even knows his name, never mind why he's now progressed to the nickname stage. He'd never given more than the cursory answers as far as he could remember, never interacted outside of this bus journey, and he couldn't imagine his dad engaging much either. "Oh, he couldn't make it today," Jake replies, but the man is already halfway up the stairs and engaging other unwitting passengers. The bus rolls on again, passing the familiar grey and variations of greyscapes on its journey, same as every week. Finally, inevitably, it arrives at the stop closest to the ground. The bus empties. Jake waits for the crowd to dissipate before making his way onto the street, his nostrils instantly filled with the smell of cheap burgers and fried onions. He jostles his way across the road to the Farmer's Arms and sees the friendly faces of his wife and mum waiting outside, looking distinctly out of place, but welcome nonetheless. "Still don't know why he didn't just come with the car with us," asks his mum, buttoning his coat up like she had done all his life whenever they were outside together. Jake kisses his mum on the cheek, handing her the ready salted crisps. "Just had to do this for Dad," he says, "one last time." "And how was it?" his wife asks. "Same as every other time," Jake replies. "Well, almost."
Really good.
That was good, mate. That was excellent. Tug on the old heartstrings, that. Good job, buddy.
Nice, huh?
He's going to kill the fucking dad, isn't he? He's going to kill the dad.
And I was like, no. I was like fucking scared of like ghostly dad and he'd be disappearing. I'm like, no. Good job, mate. That was excellent. Very, very well done.
That was lovely. That was a lovely little short story.
Yeah, I can't believe I didn't think of football sort of Saturday 3 o'clock. Such a ritualistic thing for people, isn't it? And I guess any sort of football fans got kind of memories with the dad and stuff and going to matches. So.
Felt really well drawn, and the characters felt very, very believable.
Lived in.
Really, really nice pace as well.
Absolutely. I got lost in it at the end. You like sometimes like literally I was just like engaged. I was like, oh fucking hell, I meant to be scrolling and doing stuff, and I just completely got lost in it. It was good, mate. That was really, really good.
I was listening to it, but I'm extremely tired. But that was like almost like ASMR. That was like, ooh. Those low dulcet tones lulling me into sleep.
Don't be creepy, Luke.
Don't make it weird.
Were you pleased with it?
Yeah, I was actually. Yeah, like I say, I hadn't written anything that I remember, kind of prose wise, in a long time. Certainly nothing like that. So yeah, I was quite happy with it actually. I don't know where it kind of came from. There wasn't any particular inspiration or anything like that. It just seemed to kind of flow quite nicely. Yeah, quite liked it. Thought it was quite good.
I would never be able to
if I do say so myself.
Yeah. Like that, I've always complimented you on your scene description and stuff, but that was ace, mate. That was very, very well written. I'd highly recommend you carry on with the prose.
Thank you.
Really recommend.
I might do.
Because that was very well written. And I like the believable, because, I could see, and I'm pretty sure I've seen him, the guy with all the pins in the hat. I think every club seems to have one. And I'm literally like, I remember like going to Anfield with my dad and like seeing that guy. And like, there was like the... was very grounded, and you can really like it. You told you told a good story in like the bus was late, and you could sort of like see the people like in turn going, what's going on, and like, you know, what you used a line which was like barriers broke down or something to that effect, and I really like that. Like I can understand that completely. That when like something like that happens, like all of a sudden stop, people start chatting to one another.
It's the same. It's such a lived-in thing. Like, the match day, it's like tram for Old Trafford, isn't it? But generally, but yeah, that sense of the tram's 5 minutes late, suddenly that sort of build-up of swell of people can get.
It's like it's something that most people, obviously the bus section, it's something most people have encountered, and when you write from obviously experience, there can be an element of tenderness that comes with it. Like in this story particularly, it drew me in very, very deeply.
Yeah, and it's really difficult to like keep a reveal. Did you find that it was like quite hard to fandangle the words to not reveal that the dad wasn't sat next to him?
Yeah, that was quite hard. I had trouble with like tense a little bit, kind of how the actual tense I was using to write it. So it's like a weird sort of present tense most of the way through, which I kind of
helps with this sort of twister, doesn't it?
So I kind of a couple of times I sort of strayed from that and kind of felt like, well, then it kind of gives that away a little bit too soon, sort of thing. So I kept it in this. His dad always says this, because then the idea in my head is that he's reliving this journey. He's kind of he's just remembering what his dad would do along the way and stuff. So yeah, that's him essentially like reliving the memory of his dad. So hence why it's a present thing for him as he does it.
Yeah, no, that makes sense.
And then this kind of reveal at the end. I think that, again, it's a while since I've looked at it, but I think the addition of like him meeting his mum there was quite a late addition. I think the original plan was he just kind of get there and then it would just be revealed in some way that his dad isn't with him anymore. I don't know, but I kind of potentially made it a bit too explicit with the conversation at the end.
Just to read that first paragraph again now, just that first instance of his dad always said, as opposed to it's just kind of, it's like you can read it through a second time with the twist. It gives it that extra.
I like the tool of the crisps as well. I think another way you could have done the finale thing, even though I quite like the familial like reunion at the end where like blah is another way, like it's like I wonder if you could have used the bag of crisps as well, like, you know, like in your scenario where you said that was added at the end. I wonder if you could have like refer to a solitary bag of crisps like that he disregards because he realizes he doesn't necessarily need the ready salted crisps. That
was an idea I had, funnily enough. So I think the two ideas I had was, so he's bought these bags of crisps that he always buys, and then there's a realization when he gets there that he's almost bought them on autopilot and he has no use for them because he doesn't like ready salted crisps, so he gives them away or whatever. So that was one idea. The other idea was just around the kind of the plant of like the bus driver potentially realizes that the dad's not there, and then the guy getting on the bus realizes that the dad isn't there, or tells him, asks how your dad is or whatever. And then maybe there'd be somebody else at the ground, like who they normally sit with or something like that, who just references it, something like that.
You hint at that though, don't you? Because the bus guy does look behind him.
Yeah. So there's a couple of little bits like that.
Yeah, because that's when I started going like, maybe like, like that's when like, Lalan Ben started going like, okay, maybe the dad's not there, but I'm gonna just like hold off for a second, because I think you got a line saying that like the bus driver looks behind him, but then like you just get swept away because it was so well written. I was just like, I'm in. Very well done, mate. I enjoyed that. I have to probably need paper stuff. I can't get. Okay, don't leave your camera on, please, bud. There we go.
Bye, Luke.
Yeah. I'll just hide Luke for now, so that we don't. There's no. Oh, that's not Luke. Which one's Luke?
Don't kill me.
Bosh.
You're on him now.
Right. Yeah. So for now, we'll hide Luke just for his own privacy. So if you guys could let me know when he's back, or whatever.
Always.
Yeah, but that was very well written. I mean, I've always been a fan of your writing, Adam. I think you know that because I've literally like seen this. I'm so like supremely jealous of your scene descriptions. Always, I hate you for having cracking scene
Say
descriptions.
it more.
But like, it's true though. It's true. Like, and it's like maybe like like. But prose is like that. It's essentially prose. You know what I mean? It's essentially prose. So you can so hear that you got a cracking talent for it. Why not carry on? I look forward to more Writey Tonightey as well. You write prose, please. That's very good. I might have a go at prose myself for next one, but like, you two have blown out the water now. Mine would be like changing tense every 3 sentences, and I'd hate to see you guys like going like wincing, and I'd be like, okay, never mind. I'll just go back to scripts.
So I had the exact same mindset with Burge as well. I was like, he's a writer. He's gonna rip this to shit. Just so aware of like, oh my god, is that past tense? Is that past participle? He's going to know all of these things.
Yeah. Oh my god, that'd be my terror as well. Like, I tend to like write things early, as you know. I write things in like the span of 2 days, and like if you guys were to ask me to do But Suddenly Tonight, I would have gone like no, because I need a week of like reading it over and over and over just to double check. And I find that every time I read it, I'm like whittling away at more mistakes that I make. Imagine that like confounded into a prose. I'd be reading it going, that word doesn't make sense. What was that sentence I was trying to do there again? I'm like, oh shit, no way. So high stress. Yeah, scripts are easier, defo.
Speaking of scripts, should we?
Let's do it, Iolo.
We don't necessarily need lead look for this one. It ended up being perfect that there's 3 people. It's not good. It's a sketch. So I imagine I have to like preface. This is my preface. Don't be mad at me, guys. No, but it's like it's I imagined it to be like a sketch. I grew somewhat frustrated with my lack of ability to write something down that I liked. So I went through, as you know, 3 iterations. I settled on this thing. It literally like was an idea I had that was like really quick, and I thought, fuck it, I'll just write that, try and write it to the best of my ability, and just try and make it fun. But it is like somewhat reliant on the read through. Now, normally I know how we work is that like, you know, like we just like throw words out there, but I have kind of cast this only because when I was writing it, I pictured it in my head. This is how it worked. So, I've forgotten the names of the guys, which is like so like. But there's Ben and Gavin, which is Adam and Burge, and then later on there is a character called
Shingle Flinklyblom.
Yeah.
He's played
What
by
was
Phil.
the names I just said? Kevin. So you got Ben, Gavin. That's you two. Kevin, if you don't mind being Kevin. There's a news report at the end that is like that I'll read. But we'll get into it. It's called Saturday, and it's mega fucking simple. My only directorial advice is you guys are Adam and Burge. You're mega enthusiastic, so just play it enthusiastically. That's all I ask. Luke ended up being in the middle, so this overlay thing still kind of works, which is perfect. All right, okay, cool. Saturday.
Which one? Sorry, am I Ben?
Yeah, that doesn't necessarily matter. Ben is first. Yeah, Adam, you go Ben.
Right.
Burge, Gavin, Phil, Kevin. Had I thought about this, maybe Kevin and Gavin are too close together, but I didn't even think that far ahead. So, you know.
It's the Vins, it's fine.
2 Vins. Yeah, that's going to confuse you now. So, Adam, Ben, Burge, Gavin, Phil, Kevin. I'll be the news reporter. Right, okay, here we go. Interior, apartment lounge day. A sparsely decorated lounge with only a couch and a large TV sitting in it. A bearded man in his 20s, Gavin, enters with a bowl teeming with Cocoa Pops. He sits down cheerily. His roommate, Ben, enters from another door. Ben is also in his 20s, clean-shaven with wild and kempt hair. They seem the most enthusiastic duo known to man.
Beautiful Saturday morning, Gav.
Gavin is delighted to see his friend.
Good Saturday to you too, sir.
Ben makes his way towards a calendar pinned to the wall.
Let me just mark off this beautiful Saturday from the old calendar.
Ben marks off the Saturday with a big cross using a marker.
You know what I like about you, Ben, old pal?
What's that, Gavster?
Your fastidiousness with date and marking the calendar.
Well, thanks, bud. It being such a lovely Saturday, I dare not mark it off.
True.
You know what I like most about you, Gavarino?
What's that, Benny boy?
The way you pile your cereals oh so high every Saturday morning. What have you got there, friend? Little Saturday Cocoa Pops, is it?
Gavin enthusiastically nods, his mouth chock full of them delicious pops.
Good man. Eat yourself a hearty breakfast this glorious Saturday.
Absolutely, bud. Any plans for this fine Saturday, oh Gavin, old pal?
Oh, usual Saturday stuff. Might go wander around a bit. Go out tonight, maybe. No work. Usual Saturday fare. You?
Same here. Oh, sorry. Could you scroll back up a tiny bit?
Oh, sorry, buddy. Are you reading off mine? Sorry, mate.
Yeah, sorry. Same here. Just Saturday living, isn't it? God, I'm glad it's the weekend.
Right? Love Saturdays. Any more Cocoa Pops left, amigo?
Should be plenty. Get yourself a bellyful.
Oh, you bet I will.
Ben navigates to the kitchen. Ben returns with another bowl teeming with Cocoa Pops.
There he is.
One and only.
Take yourself down, bud.
Don't mind if I do.
Take the load off. Not like we're anywhere to be, right?
Too right. Weekend relaxation.
Right you are, sir.
Not a stress to be had. Might head over to the bank later.
Ben?
What?
It's Saturday, you goofball. Banks are closed at midday.
Oh, bloody Nora. I am a doofus, aren't I? Forgot it was a Saturday.
You silly sausage.
Guilty as charged.
Funny bugger. Expecting a package to come any second now. I am. From the Royal Mail. Gosh, I do hope they deliver it soon. Would hate for...
That's Sunday.
What?
Royal Mail do deliver on Saturdays. Sunday they don't.
All right. Shit.
There's a brief pause between the pair.
Why don't we see what's on the old goggle box, eh?
Yes. Watch us some telly. Nothing else for us to do.
Gavin turns on the TV. There's a generic daytime TV show on. Some antique auction shit.
Classic Saturday viewing.
You betcha. Always something good on the TV on Saturdays.
You're right there, friend.
Mountain Deck on tonight.
Oh, yeah. I love that show.
Right. Classic Saturday watching.
Absolutely. I honestly can't imagine a Saturday without.
Are you fucking kidding me?
Kevin, another 20-something man with neatly combed hair, bursts through the front door.
Where the fuck have you guys been? Work have been calling the both of you non-stop. They sent me back here to fetch you. What are you doing?
Just spending a classic Saturday.
It's Monday. You know it's a Monday. Got the big Honda deal today. We're selling that Honda. And you guys are here filling your mouths with Cocoa Pops. The fuck is wrong with you?
Ben and Gavin stare at their friend. Gavin slowly gets up from the couch and puts a hand on Kevin's shoulder.
It's Saturday.
What? What are you talking about? What are you...
It's Saturday, Kevin. Saturday.
Ben stands beside Gavin. They both stare ominously at them, nodding in sync. Gavin leans in close to Kevin's ear.
Saturday.
Cut to... Well read, buds. Cut to interior apartment lounge. Later, Kevin, Ben and Gavin sit on the couch, eat with a huge bowl of Cocoa Pops on their lap. We hear the constant buzzing of Kevin's phone.
Lovely Saturday weather we're having.
The best.
Might go for a walk on the beach later. There being no work and all.
Let's see what else is on.
Kevin clicks the remote. The TV changes to the news. It's a somber Monday morning here today where Kevin quickly turns off the TV. Kevin, Gavin and Ben stare at each other momentarily.
Who needs the news on this lovely Saturday? Wouldn't want anything to ruining today, would we?
Saturday!
That's it. That's all I had.
This is great.
Literally, the idea I had was, how about I be really obnoxious and say the word Saturday a lot? And so I started with that first bit being like genuine, like they were genuinely on a Saturday. And I thought it'd be really funny if these two guys, it wasn't a Saturday, they were just kind of half convincing themselves it was Saturday. But that was excellently read. I was really scared about that because it's all in the reading and you guys nailed that.
I enjoyed that. Yeah, I kind of love how I felt like you found your way into the role of like just being super enthusiastic as it went on, which kind of complemented the script as well as kind of ramped up.
I really like the play on it you guys sometimes did. I was like, it made me like laugh so much that you guys, you betcha, like it was just like all I wrote was you betcha, and you guys were like, you betcha. And like there was a bit where you guys kind of like read over one another, like, and it would work so perfectly in like the head canon of reading it, where you guys are just like, yeah, bud. That was very well read, guys. Good job.
It's a lot of fun.
It was great. It was really
I'm
fun.
kind of like digging into the world as we speak, and sort of just the sense that these guys have been so like broken down by society and the jobs and stuff society had to live in. So.
That they're willing to just like pretend it's a Saturday on a work day. And for me, I like it made me laugh, but like I was like, this is not going to translate because like spur of the moment writing, and sometimes some bullshit comes out. I literally just wrote, we have that Honda deal today. And I just thought, what the hell is the Honda deal? So I went, we're selling that Honda.
Nice elaboration.
Why is it Honda?
It's just work talk. I loved it.
That's it. I was like, literally, like I couldn't even think of what the work thing.
Crunch those numbers.
Yeah, but I do think, like from a pacing standpoint, I think it should have. Because from a pacing standpoint, and having just heard it now, the punchline is that is essentially like it's not Saturday, it's a Monday, and then like the whole thing like, no, Kevin, it's Saturday happens, which was read perfectly, by the way. After that, I think it goes on a bit too long. I don't think you necessarily need the news report. I think you just need the shot of them eating Cocoa Pops, and like maybe it could have ended on Kevin going, lovely Saturday weather we're having. I think it could have been, and then they go like Saturday, and that's where it could have ended, because I think like by that point everyone's got the joke, and I'm just milking it a bit further. But
I like the detail of Kevin's phone buzzing as well. I think that's good.
Yeah. Like, he's not far enough removed from the sort of detachment of creating themselves. His world's still trying to pull him back.
It was great. It was really good.
Yeah, I enjoyed that. You guys read it. Like it was all in the reading.
You removed me.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Oh, yeah,
he's back.
You couldn't hide the sadness in your voice there. Yeah, Luke's back.
I was honestly like a bit scared for a moment. No, I just for your own privacy, I didn't think like we'd appreciate us.
No, I had to pop to the shops.
Yeah, we've finished all our readings.
We have.
Yeah.
Was it?
I enjoyed it.
Yours was nice. Yeah.
I'd recommend watching back Iolo's scripts. It's good fun.
It was fun.
Oh,
really
definitely.
well.
What? Okay. It's in the writing folder, isn't it?
It is, yeah. But like watching it, it'll do it far more justice, because reading it, like it's schlock without being read by those two guys. It's really nice. You know what's really cool about this is like having now seasoned players to read your script means that when you're writing a script, you picture them reading it, and that's why I went Phil, Adam, Burge, because I really think that like from the But Suddenlies and everything we have, I really remember Burge and Adam like having like a really good enthusiastic, like kind of almost bordering on like children's presenter voices, like, yeah, buddy. And I just thought like, that's exactly who I was writing for. And that's exactly how you guys read it. It's such a like privilege to have people that'll read your bullshit. It's lovely.
Like, where did you train Rada? Oh, how about you? But suddenly...
It's fun. I really, cool. You know what? I genuinely, this is a thought I had. This is like something that we could just talk about. But a thought I genuinely had, right, is that we kind of have like loads of these little stories by now that are like in audio form. I really want to try and get into animating, because if you go on YouTube and look at animations, right, they're not particularly like hard, they don't do like really like fine art style cartoons. Like a lot of them are like white circle heads or whatever. So you like I'd think of a style similar to that. And if we animated some of these, I think it'd be really funny. I'm going to try an attempt after practicing a bit of animating the Debonair's intro, only because I watched that a little while ago and it's read so well. Where like all of us are trying to sort of like introduce the Debonair, and like some people are off, and we're laughing in the background. It's just such an enjoyous listen that I might try and animate over it, maybe see if I can get like the old circle stick figures.
Do the Saturday thing as part of like a sketch show thing, because I think that would work really well as a sketch, like the 5-page thing. I think it's quite cool, sort of.
Yeah, I think
well in a.
I think so as well. I think that's a good length as well, because I didn't want to like. I tend to get enthusiastic and write like 15 pages, and like at the end of these kind of things you don't necessarily want to read like 15-20 pages. I think 5 was quite nice because it was like a nice little short thing. So I might whilst I might for the next prompt or whatever we do next time do a prose, I might also just keep it as like a sketch, just like write a sketch for the thing, and then eventually we'll have loads of sketches, loads of prose, loads of cool examples of writing.
It could be a good, like another good show in itself. I don't mean separate from Writey Tonightey. I mean, like 1 week on this, we could say, okay, maybe we do a prompt, maybe we don't. I don't know, but we sort of say everyone writes like a comedy sketch in a particular theme or about a particular thing, and we end up with like, in theory, you end up with five sketches that kind of
Let's
all
do
have
that.
a sort of linked theme, which could be quite cool.
Let's 100% like screw the spinner. That's what we should do next time. We should write
spinner for the theme.
Do we need a theme?
Well, I don't know. Just based on Adam's thing. But,
I don't know.
Just write sketches.
Yeah, I would say just like write. Each of us write. How long is half an hour divided by 5? Someone do quick maths. Phil.
6 minutes.
6 minutes. So every one of us do 6 to 7 minute scripts of a sketch, funny sketch, and see how it fares.
So it could be shorter as well, because I think a lot of sketches.
It's not really quick.
Yeah, about like 2 to 3 minutes.
Yeah, if you do a couple, I don't think any longer than what you just did there, Iolo, to be honest. I think
no, 100%. I don't think so either. I think that if anything, that could have been a bit shorter. But like I agree. Like don't obviously stretch it for the sake of stretching it. If you got if your gag is hit in page 2 and then you think that's perfect, just end it there. But I think that's not a bad idea to just write sketches. If we can theme them if you want. Would you guys want to think of a theme, or would you prefer
Dinosaurs,
to just go ahead and do
something?
It's a dinosaurs. It's a dinosaurs, didn't he?
Well, prompt master himself.
But I've just got a tiny arm joke in mind.
Can't reach. Cool. So, did Luke have anything to present for tonight's show, or your idea you want to go to?
Yeah, I can talk to you about Fat Indiana Jones. It's on the thing, Iolo. It's in writings.
Oh, cool. Okay. Writings, Fat Indiana Jones. Give me a second. It's loading.
It's only a couple of paragraphs. It's just a premise that I was toying about with, and I started to write. I've not put on the actual page. Do you
want me to show this on screen, or do you want?
You can. It's it was literally just musings, and I'll just read it.
Cool.
If that's all right.
Yeah,
so. Obviously, we talked about part of Writey Tonightey being just somewhere where we can sort of bring any kind of individual writing ideas that we have, that we're thinking of writing, that we're thinking of working on, and whether they work out or not. And this was just something at like 2 o'clock in the morning. I was just having a chuckle to myself, and then I didn't go to bed till 3 o'clock in the morning because I decided I was writing this down half asleep. Apologies for the spelling. So, Fat Indiana Jones. To increase tourism in his dying town, which he loves, it says loved, Benson convinces his local council to let him open a museum. He's given 1 year, permission, and funds to open a small museum. Much of his costs come from the purchase of an old, disused school built in the 1900s. When it's repaired, he barely has enough to purchase one of the artefacts he promised to show that would revitalise his hometown. However, he has more than enough for a plane ticket. He devises a plan to travel around the world to find and uncover his own artifacts. And that was a little nod to myself. He basically becomes like a fat old Indiana Jones who's pretty successful. He makes a plan to fund himself by creating internet content documenting his progress. After about 6 months on the road with no successes, he begins to feel anxious that he won't meet the deadline, and he's almost no interest in his story, 3 followers, his mum, his sister, and himself. He travels across a large portion of the world, turning up no artifact, no leads, just nothing. And then, by chance, he bumps into Matteo Landviking. Unbeknownst to at 3 o'clock in the morning, that was the funniest thing that has ever happened to me. Matteo Landviking. Unbeknownst to him, the world's foremost expert and professor of ancient Sumer, so like Sumeria. So who just happens to be in the simple village Benson is passing through. He overhears in a bar that a statue of Astarte, who is the Canaanite and Phoenician goddess of love, sex and war, has been found bearing the symbol of Odin. something he hears to be the greatest find of the century, depicting two deities from pantheons impossibly different in both time and location. Benson thought that it would be perfect for his museum. One of the guys in the bar says that it'll end up going to storage for decades, as it'll be contested between the two countries who have claim to it. But if they can get it, then it would most definitely be a groundbreaking find. Benson approaches a professor who rebukes and belittles him. Sad, he leaves the bar. Outside, he sees and meets Olga, a Russian national and defector. She's a former strongwoman and acrobat turned tomb raider after she climbed into several caves, discovering an unknown ancient civilization, the skeleton of a dragon, and coincidentally, this statue of the very same goddess with the said crazy symbol. He begs to join the recovery expedition, but he's taken on board when he agrees to forgo pay of any kind. Benson, Olga, Matteo and his team delve down into the subterranean ruins. A number of the team die from poisonous snakes, falling rubble, and another from forgetting to take his insulin. Finally, when they reach the statue, Benson approaches it whilst the others are setting up camp. When he touches the carved inlay of Odin's seal, he hears a voice, and I don't know why I wrote when suddenly I just was in the headspace of it, but I see it as a bit of more of a comedy about, again, because Iolo's he's had me on to watching a couple. Who's that train guy that you had me watching?
Brave Dave,
and I loved Brave Dave, and I really like the idea of someone documenting a journey. So like a big, not a massive portion, but they'd have like quite a bit of the initial start of the thing would be him like, oh, I'm in Rome, onto his phone, I'm in Rome and I'm here on this archaeological dig site for whatever reason, and getting rebuked and not finding anything, and sort of that downward spiral when he obviously bumps into Matteo Land Viking.
Yeah, cracking name, by the way. I like it. I do miss the old like Indiana Jones like adventure theme, like the whole like finding artifacts, lost artifacts. Like, I remember that film with what was his name? Nicolas Cage, the National Treasure. Yeah. I loved those movies, and everyone was like slating them. I like a good like little historical mystery, so I'm in for it.
It was watching Phil, Adam, and Jim on Point and Shtick that got me think that sort of inspired it, I suppose.
I like it.
Lance in the museum.
Yeah. Well, I don't know where to go next with it though. I wouldn't.
Yeah, I quite like it's quite funny, like the idea that this bloke is like kind of like getting all these amazing artifacts for his shit museum in his small town. It's just really quite funny.
The way I see it going towards the end is that he's literally got this old school building. It's not particularly big, but he is successful and he gets these amazing artifacts at this tiny shit museum. I don't know necessarily where it would be set. When I first pictured it, I pictured it being set in somewhere in Africa, as in that's where he's from and his museum would be. But it could just as easily be not Manchester, but I don't know, some tiny, well-to-do place in England or America. But I wouldn't know where. I just don't know where else to take it. I think it was just the 3 o'clock burns, and every time I've gone back to the document since, I was like, don't know what to do. Don't know what to do. I've got about a page and a half of, which isn't a lot, but it's because I've written it in prose. About a page and a half of him convincing the council, which I had a laugh with. But
fair enough. That's all right.
No. In prose, it was. I wrote it, and then when you do something, you think this would have been better as a script, but I'd done it by then. I couldn't be bothered to edit it. But yeah,
I like it. You should make it you should make his like expedition go into like the Amazon for the Lost City of Gold, because then you could like have the comedy failings of him trying to survive the Amazon, which is notoriously like really difficult to survive in. You can have those like flies that like suck the moisture out of your eyes. You could literally have him wake up one with like the driest of eyes ever.
What was behind it? I like the idea of you have these movies with these very athletically cut or at least somewhat fit individuals that can run away from a boulder at least, and it's like if you sent one of us to collect the.
It would be a good version of that, and we talked about this fucking ages ago. Is that we wanted to make our own spoof movie? It would be a really good spoof movie. Like it would be a spoof of like the Indiana Jones adventure movies. Like
it would be that's a good show.
How about like Airplane was like a mockery of all these like old airplane thrillers? It could be like a mockery of adventure, because we were in the first episode of this, I think we read Fishers, and there was like tastes of Indiana Jones in that. It wasn't gonna be Indiana Jones in the end, but you had like the preeminent Fisherologist in that, and it was like Fishers.
Quick sidebar. That was such a fun read. I really enjoyed that.
That was a really fun read.
Script. That was so fun.
I enjoyed that. I've neglected that. I've got my script folder is like an island of broken toys. I've got so many half-written things that I'm like, I should really finish that. But I never will.
And I know that.
I know. I've accepted that. I think of a new idea, I write about 7 pages of it. It's my main focus for about a week and a half, and then I'm like, that idea is the worst idea I've ever had. I'm going to move on to something else. But no, I like it, bud. I really quite like it. Yeah, I think it works as like an airplane. Yeah, good job, mate.
I have so many of those. It's always your collective fault. I'm terrible at contributing in show. But then I go away and then I was like, laughing to myself in the middle of the night, waking Beth and the baby up, writing about fighting Indiana Jones and stupid shit. So yeah.
Yeah, I've got like there's a lot of stuff that like maybe for the next Writey Tonightey, if the script ones, if the sketch ones are going to be shorter, then we might have more time. I might whip out one of the other things that I've got at the ready to read. I'm not going to do it now; it's a bit late, but I do have some things that I want to show you guys. Some really ludicrous things that like you guys all make me feel like, I get enthused about things after you read them, because they kind of like bring me to life to a certain degree, and I go like, oh, that works, and then I literally start like getting enthusiastic. So I wouldn't mind that push of excitement. Luke is outraged. He's left.
Rage quit.
All pretense of telling us where he's going is gone now.
just ups and leaves.
No, it's fine, Luke. We waited.
Don't worry about it, mate.
The baby was. My goodness.
So is that what's done for these?
Yeah, I believe so.
Yeah,
that was a fun one, guys. I enjoyed that.
We did it.
Cheers, guys. Lovely work.
So, like, we'll figure out over WhatsApp. So the fictitious audience doesn't get to know what we're doing, but it's something related to sketches.
Some dinosaur sketches or something.
Dinosaur.
17th.
Yeah,
next Thursday.
Sorry.
Next Thursday for But Suddenly.
Next Thursday for But Suddenly, absolutely. And then the week afterwards, we can discuss on the But Suddenly what we're going to do, whether it's going to be this again or maybe something else. Or
cool.
Sounds good.
Yeah. Cool.
Yeah. Right, cool. Bye.
Bye.
Thanks, guys.